What if everything you've been told about how your own body is supposed to function is actually just a massive, outdated software bug?
Welcome to Haanaan Winds. I'm feeling incredibly recharged today. I finally got my coffee machine working this morning, and honestly, that little ritual of a perfect morning cup saved my entire mood.
And I'm just here trying to figure out why my left eye is twitching in rhythm with some forgotten spell. I think the universe is still trying to process that tower card I pulled last week. Everything is a bit unstable.
Speaking of unstable, Jane's not with us today. She's currently limping around like a character from a Dickens novel after a run-in with a street performer and a very aggressive curb.
Poor thing. But anyway, we have a heavy hitter for you today. We're looking at something that isn't just a book, but a necessary system update for the human psyche.
We're diving into Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. We aren't talking about fixing anything, but rather deconstructing the wrong stories we've been programmed to believe about desire and biology.
It's time to patch the bugs in the way we understand ourselves. Let's get into it.
Okay, so before we get into the meat of the text, we have to acknowledge the sheer weight of the praise on this opening page. I mean, look at this list. Peggy Orenstein, John Gottman. These aren't just random reviewers. These are the heavyweights of psychology and sex education.
It's a lot, isn't it? But it sets the stage. It's presented as this authoritative, almost scientific intervention.
I'm just looking at this one quote from Book Riot. They say reading this was like a punch to the gut. They actually said they started crying because they realized they weren't broken. That's a hell of a way to start a conversation.
It's a visceral reaction, and it leads right into the author's introduction. She starts with these vignettes. Very mundane, very human. She's in dining halls, hotel lobbies, even a park bench, and people are just approaching her.
It's so relatable. It's not these grand, dramatic confessions. It's just, why am I not wet? Or, I think I peed when I had an orgasm. It's the small, messy, slightly embarrassing realities of being alive in a body.
But notice what she does with all those scattered, chaotic questions. She filters them down through a single massive universal anxiety.
Right. She says under all that, there is really just one question. Am I normal?
And then she gives the answer immediately. Yes. That's such a powerful way to anchor the reader. You're already feeling the anxiety, and she just puts her hand on your shoulder and says, yes.
But then she pivots. She doesn't just stay in the validation zone. She moves into the why we even have these questions in the first place.
And this is where she makes her first big claim. She says, we've been lied to. She doesn't say it was a conspiracy, though. She says, it's no one's fault, but still.
It's about that wrong story I mentioned earlier. The idea that Western science has basically been running on a buggy, outdated operating system for centuries.
Exactly. She uses this specific phrase, men's sexuality light.
Men's sexuality light? That is such a brutal way to put it.
It's perfect, though. Look how she unpacks it. She says the medical establishment just assumed that because men have orgasms from intercourse, women should too. And if they don't, well, the bug in the software is that the woman is broken.
And then she drops the data. This is where the update starts. She says only about a quarter of women orgasm reliably with intercourse. The other 75%, they're totally healthy. They're totally normal.
Wait, so the standard we've been measuring ourselves against is actually a massive outlier?
Precisely. She's deconstructing the benchmark, and she does it again with physical response. She brings up this concept, and we're going to talk about this a lot later, arousal non-concordance.
I love that term. It sounds so clinical, but it describes something so deeply personal. The idea that your body might be, well, let's say participating physically while your mind is totally elsewhere, or vice versa.
Like when you're at a party and you're physically fine, but mentally you're just thinking about, I don't know, would you left the stove on?
Exactly. The hardware is running, but the software isn't engaged. And she applies this to the very concept of desire, the spontaneous versus responsive thing.
This is huge. The myth is that you should just, boom, sudden, out of the blue hunger for sex, like a vending machine.
But she's saying that for many, desire is responsive. It only shows up once the context is right. It's not an unprovoked attack. It's a reaction to a stimulus.
So, we're moving away from this idea of spontaneous hunger and towards something more contextual.
Yeah, but look, Anne, this is where I want to push back a little, or at least look closer. She doesn't say men and women are fundamentally different species. She actually pulls back. She says, in reality, women and men are different, but then she immediately follows it with, but wait.
She's complicating the distinction. She's saying that men also experience non-concordance. Men also experience responsive desire.
Right. She's refusing to let us retreat into men are X, women are Y binaries. She's looking for the underlying mechanism.
And she uses this brilliant metaphor for it. She says looking at sexual behavior, like how many times a week you have sex, is like trying to understand love by looking at a couple's wedding portrait and then their divorce papers.
That's heavy.
It is. The behavior is just the record of what happened, the marriage and the divorce. But the reason they married, the reason they fell out of love, that's the stuff in the underlying processes. The biology, the psychology, the social pressure.
So we aren't just looking at the what, we're looking at the why.
We're looking for the source code. So we've established that the old way of looking at this, the men's sexuality light version, is just guesswork. But now she's moving into the actual mechanics. She says we're at a moment because we're finally moving past the what and into the why and how.
It's like she's finally handing us the documentation for the hardware.
Exactly. And she points to a specific breakthrough in the late 20th century, the Janssen and Bancroft dual control model. This is the core architecture of the book.
The dual control model. I'm already picturing a high-speed car chase.
Sort of. But it's more like a car with a very sensitive pedal system. She says the brain has two universal components, a sexual accelerator and sexual brakes.
And they respond to everything: genital sensations, visual stuff, even the emotional context.
Right. And here's the key. The sensitivity of those brakes and that accelerator varies from person to person.
So, some of us are driving Ferraris with zero brakes, and some of us are driving, I don't know, a Volvo in a school zone?
Precisely. And she uses this beautiful way to frame it. She says that while arousal and orgasm are nearly universal, how we experience them depends on those sensitivities. It's not about being broken. It's about your specific settings.
I love how she follows that up with the apple tree metaphor. It's so grounding.
It is. She says an apple tree is healthy, whether it's a seed, a seedling, or full of fruit. And some varieties need direct sun, while others like the shade.
Wait, so she's saying the shade is just as valid as the sun?
That's the whole point, Paco. She says no organization is better or worse than any other. You are healthy when you need sun, and you are healthy when you need shade.
That is such a relief to hear, especially when you're feeling all unsunlit. It takes the pressure off having to be this constant, high-energy, spontaneous version of yourself.
It's like saying the software doesn't need to be optimized to be perfect. It just needs to be running correctly for its specific environment.
Exactly, but then she gets practical. She lays out the roadmap for the book, and it's structured almost like a system manual. Part 1 is the not-so-basic, the hardware, body, brain, and context.
And she's not shy about the parts. She says chapter 1 is about genitals, and she's literally going to prove that they are perfectly healthy and beautiful just as they are.
I mean, if the science can back that up, I'm all in.
And then she moves into the sex in context section. This is where she ties it back to what we were saying earlier about the external stuff. She says context your emotions, your relationship, your stress is just as crucial to your sexual well-being as your actual biology.
Which is huge because we often forget that the brain is an organ in the sexual response too. You can't just ignore the software and expect the hardware to perform.
And then she drops this absolute bombshell in the third part, sex in action. She says she is going to bust 2 long-standing and dangerous myths.
Here we go, the myth-busting phase.
The first one is that pleasure and desire might not have anything to do with what's happening in your genitals. She brings us back to that arousal non-concordance we mentioned.
It's that gap between the body and the mind. And the second myth? She says that after you read chapter 7, you will never again hear someone say sex drive without thinking, but sex is not a drive.
Wait, what? Sex is not a drive? Is she saying we don't have an instinct for it?
No, she's reframing it. She's pushing us away from this idea of an unprovoked biological hunger that just happens, and back toward that responsive desire we talked about. It's not an engine idling, it's a reaction to the environment.
It's such a massive shift in how you view your own agency. You aren't losing your drive, you're just waiting for the right input.
I'm also looking at how she handles the stories in the book. She's using these composites: Olivia, Merritt, Camilla, and Lori.
Right, they aren't real individuals, but collages of snapshots. It's a way to protect privacy while showing the larger narratives.
It makes it feel more universal, doesn't it? Like she's telling you about the shared themes of hundreds of women rather than just one person's struggle.
I also like the too long, didn't read idea at the end of the chapters. Too long, didn't read. It's very modern.
Very much so. She even suggests you use them to playfully tease your partner. See, honey, arousal non-concordance is a thing.
Imagine that at dinner. Pass the salt and also remember that my brakes are currently very sensitive.
But she does end with a serious nota cavit. She clarifies her use of male and female when talking about biology, but emphasizes man and woman as identities. And she's very honest about the limitations of the science that most of it is still based on cisgender women.
It's an honest way to start. She's not claiming to have the whole map, just the best version of the map we have right now.
Exactly. She's saying, the map is incomplete, but let's start by fixing the parts we can see. Okay, we are officially moving from the why into the how. We're looking at the author's rationale here. She says, and I love this, that she's been very intentional about what she includes.
Yeah, she's basically saying, I looked at all the fascinating scientific puzzles and I just cut them.
I mean, I get it. If I'm reading a manual for a new phone, I don't need to know the history of silicon mining. I just want to know how to use the camera.
Exactly. She's stripping away the empirical puzzles to keep only what has immediate relevance to everyday lives. She's not trying to write an encyclopedia. She's trying to write a guide for survival and joy.
And she doesn't shy away from how heavy that survival part is. She talks about the damage done by the lies we discussed earlier. She says so many women come to her workshops feeling sexually broken, dysfunctional, or abnormal.
And it's more than a feeling, right? It's the way people talk to them. The just relax, or the have a glass of wine.
Or the real dismissive ones. Women just don't want sex that much. Get over it. That's such a classic way to shut down a conversation about actual biological or psychological needs.
It's a way of gaslighting the body. And she mentions how people even dismiss physical pain. Sometimes sex hurts, can't you just ignore it?
That is straight up dangerous. That's a total system failure.
But waitin', this is the part that really got me. She says there's a specific neurological process that traps people in that despair. She says we can find science-based ways to get out of that trap.
But then she drops the heavy line. Listen to this. She says, whatever you're experiencing is the result of your sexual response mechanism functioning appropriately in an inappropriate world.
Wow.
It's a total reframe, isn't it? She's saying you aren't the broken part. The world is the broken part.
It's such a massive shift in perspective. She even says that's actually the bad news.
Wait, how is that bad news? The world is broken sounds like a pretty easy way to stop blaming yourself.
Because if the problem is you can fix yourself. If the problem is the world, then you have to do the much harder work of changing your environment and your brain to maximize your potential despite the brokenness.
It's much more work than just taking a pill or relaxing, but it's more empowering. And she has the receipts. She shares these notes from her students.
I love the energy of these. I am normal in all caps. It's like a victory cry.
It really is. One student even wrote, "Women vary," and "no two alike." It's this collective realization that the standard we were all chasing didn't even exist.
It's beautiful, and it leads us right into chapter 1. She starts with no two alike and introduces us to Olivia.
Okay, so we're meeting Olivia. She's she's quite comfortable with herself. She likes to watch herself in a mirror while she, well, you know.
She's using a full-length mirror, propping herself up on an elbow. It's very visual, very intentional. She's exploring her own anatomy.
And she's even teaching herself breath orgasms. That is incredible. Talk about optimizing the hardware.
But then she hits a snag. She sees her clitoris, thinks it's large like a baby carrot, and concludes that because it's big, she must have more testosterone, which makes her a horny lady.
And here comes the software update again. The author steps in with the science. She tells her there's no evidence of a relationship between an adult woman's hormone levels, genital shape or size, and sexual desire.
I can almost see the O on Olivia's face. That single syllable.
That O is doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's the sound of a whole belief system crashing.
But look at how the author handles it. She doesn't just shut her down with a fact. She realizes that for Olivia, it wasn't about the science of testosterone. It was about the struggle to embrace what she sees.
Right. The science was just the excuse. The real issue was the fear that being different meant being wrong.
So she pivots back to the core message. She tells her, your clitoris is totally normal. Everyone's genitals are made of all the same parts, just organized in different ways.
The differences don't necessarily mean anything. They're just varieties of beautiful and healthy.
And she ends this section with a hook. She tells Olivia that this realization that variation could be the most important thing she ever learns.
And I think we're all about to find out if she's right. That's a heavy note to end a segment on. I need to stretch my hips.
I'm with you. I need a snack and a moment to process that.